All right, greetings. Hello, everyone out there in internet land and beyond, wherever this is reaching. Greetings and welcome to Sophie's Voice on this day, the 9th of the 12th, no, 2025, 1925. That's around the time my mum was born. Anyway, I'm rambling. Anyway, today I just wanted to have a quick one and I just wanted to talk a bit about, there's so many things I want to talk about, but it's so hard to get organised in the midst of rambly life and with lots of different elements going on. But because, and I want to be more prepared if I go into deep stuff and need to have evidence of stuff. But today I was thinking about, we had a really lovely day today at our dance class. For anyone who doesn't know, we have a cool dance class up in Walkerville that I lead. But today it was our last one for the year, and we had a lovely guy, African guy, who comes in and does once a term, does a African dance workshop. And we had a really cool time having a bit of a dance and a bit of a drum, and we put on the hip scarves and we did a bit of jingling, and we just have a really nice community vibe happening there, and it's a real blessing. But it was interesting as a Botia, who was a dancer, who's actually been on the podcast, who's, if you want to go and meet him, he's a lovely guy on our podcast. You can look him up, Botia. While he was dancing, he was talking about the idea of, in his culture, that there's always dancing, always eating, there's always things going on, that you're not worried about time, but everyone's busy all the time and there's always things to do. But that the dance, that there's so many things that get resolved through dance. He was talking about, like, there's times for proposals and times for reconciliations between people, if there's unforgiveness and if there's problems, that it's through the dance that these things can get sorted out. And I've been watching someone, my lovely friend Alexi sent me, I hope you're watching, Alexi, sent me a great video of a woman speaking about our whole brain and worshipping God with our whole brain, and how trauma, what's the word for it? Fractures, I think that's the word, our soul or our heart, whatever it is, and that we end up in pieces, and there's so many of us that are grappling with how to put the pieces back together. And so my journey has been one of seeking God about that and trying to understand how the pieces go back together. And not only that, what is their right relationship to each other. And but it was interesting listening to Botia talking about his culture and feeling like this, our Western cultures are sort of attracted to these more nature-based cultures, maybe. I don't know how you describe them, but there's something different, that they're more holistic. And so he's talking about, excuse me, that there's dance and creating and food, and it's all part of one culture, and everyone's involved and everyone's included and busy and doing stuff. And in a way, I think that's what we're craving in our culture. And part of it is, it's like the Western culture, kind of part of its journey has been to leave behind holism, and I don't know at what point I mean that. I just mean that I know that our culture is based on having power over nature and over ourselves, and a lot of it is to do with the compartmentalization, to be able to sort of separate the parts and operate them separately. Any organization or anything that gets big, you've got to be able to compartmentalize in order to make it function. But those that hunger for power will use that, and I think it's been used in sometimes quite nefarious ways, as it's coming out more and more, to do with learning how to mind control, like MK Ultra, etc., learning how to fracture the soul and how to use the parts separately so it can be used as a sort of point of dominance and a way of getting power. And so it's a bit like as the different cultures meet each other between the very kind of sophisticated Western culture and these other cultures that are more uh, like Aboriginal. I don't think what's the proper word for Aboriginal, Indigenous, like cultures that are still in their own land and still close to the land and living in that kind of holistic way that is like nourishes the soul and looks after the soul. So it's like the meeting of these two realities now as all the world is mixed up together. And I think it's like, so the Western mind has gone on this long journey and it's kind of got lost and now it's searching for its soul in a way. And I think that's why we're coming to these other cultures to re-find our soul and for them to help us to re-find our soul. And that's what I'm interested in, and how to bring, so the things that we've learned on that journey and the things that the people who have stayed close to their soul and kept their hearts more intact, what they know and what that wisdom that they carry, and bring those things together so we can have true deep healing in the whole of humanity. Let's do that. And so, yeah, that's what I feel like we're heading towards, is some sort of resolution and healing and getting beyond all the difficulties we're going through now to learning how to function in a holistic culture without having to deny where we've been and all the ability we have to with technology and science, etc. Yeah. So, and so part of that is healing the brokenhearted, and that's what Jesus said he came to bind up the brokenhearted, and to set the captives free, and so that spirit of binding up the fractured soul is what's needed. We need to call on that God's spirit, and all be engaged in our own personal journey, I think, of doing that work to bring all those pieces back together and get them in right relationship to one another, because it's not only them being together, but things have got to be in the right place, playing the right role for things to function smoothly and to go well. And so part of, I've just been feeling like this has been bubbling for a long time, and I've been trying to work out how to, what's the next step, and how to actualize this kind of thinking, and how to, apart from in my own walk and the people close to me, how to offer a space where that kind of work can be done. And so what I'm thinking is next year is I really want to start to, I particularly want to work with women and create what I would call would be sacred women's space. It's something I dabbled with a few years back, I guess 10 years ago now. But I had this terrible conflict between the Christian paradigm, if you will, or filter, and this other one that seems to be sitting in a fresh new space that where women can minister to each other and heal the mother wound. That's what I'm interested in. Like, that's one of the most important things in getting in touch with whatever it is we might be carrying that make it so hard to have true wholesome community, is when we're all carrying crazy shit that we haven't dealt with. It just blows up and it just destroys everything. So we want sort of intentional communities with people that are willing to do the work and to go through whatever it is you need to go through to come into your own wholeness. And then that creates wholeness in a society, in a culture. So that's all my kind of plan for next year. I'd like to hold space for women to come in and to heal the mother wound, specifically around mothers to start with, I think. usually a lot of deep pain for a lot of women, I think, with their relationship with their mother, and how that carries on down the generations, and that it's such a deep, maybe not such an obvious one as the father, the damage that the father element can do, but the mother one, it goes deep. It's a bit more sort of secret and a bit more private, and sometimes that pain can be the worst, that nobody can see it. And for women to step into their full identity as women, I think that's going to be a real healing for the whole culture. That while women are sort of emotionally not able to get past some of these big stuff, that they can't give what they need to give to the culture, that women are a source of love and nourishing and goodness that is unique to what women bring. And if we don't understand that, then we're crippled in that job, and the whole society suffers. And so that's why I'm interested in, also that's what my book is about, the feminine dimension of God, and coming back to understanding that it is divine. What a woman carries is divine, in the same way that what a man carries is divine, in that identity as God's representatives on the earth. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Okay. God bless. Shalom.